Salut! On est là pour vous parler de notre vidéo écossaise. On est resté 10 jours, une dizaine de jours en Écosse, à Oban dans une petite ville, à Glasgow dans la deuxième plus grande ville d'Écosse et à Édimbourg. On a pu malheureusement filmer qu'à Édimbourg, mais on a eu des témoignages intéressants.
Globalement, on trouve que l'Écosse est plutôt égalitaire, en tout cas dans la mentalité, même s'il reste bien sûr de nombreuses inégalités comme au travail ou encore entre la relation des parents qui s'occupent des enfants. Mais c'est vrai qu'au niveau comportement, les Écossais sont plutôt égalitaires. Ensuite, on a vu qu'il y avait un problème, donc au Royaume-Uni en général, l'accès aux protections hygiéniques pour les jeunes filles ou même pour les femmes peut être parfois assez compliqué. C'est assez cher et les plus modestes ont un peu de mal. Donc vous allez voir qu'on a deux jeunes filles qui nous parlent de cela et qui nous disent quelle solution est apportée à ce problème.
Alors ça, c'est un avis personnel. Les personnes que nous avons interrogées ne nous l'ont pas dit, mais on a trouvé que les femmes et filles écossaises étaient beaucoup plus libérées que les françaises, comme
nous.
Comme on a pu le comparer avec nous. Elles sont plus expressives à travers leurs vêtements ou leur manière de s'exprimer. On a trouvé que c'était une bonne chose.
Ouais, et que nous, à côté de ça, on était les petites françaises plutôt timides, alors qu'en France, on ne l'est pas du tout.
Pas vraiment.
Donc c'est assez étonnant. Voilà, on vous en dit pas plus.
On vous laisse aller avec la vidéo. Vous allez voir des hommes, des femmes qui vous parlent des conditions des femmes en Écosse.
À plus.
Initially, yes. At school, that's no problem.
In general, I'd say yes. I think for me, I came from a very good school, so I feel like for us we did, but I know that there are cases where it's not exactly the same, and then there is still this kind of stereotypes that girls do like the arts, and then to be fair, I'm probably a stereotype that I'm a humanities student, and then I know a lot more boys who do sciences, so it's maybe not exactly equal in terms of doing a humanities to a science, especially since I do a language and it's very orientated towards women in my classes. But I think the opportunities to go do tend to be quite equal.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think there's still, it depends what you're going into. If you're going into something like politics and things like that, there's still really focus on the old boys club type mentality. So I think that on the surface it appears that way, but I think when it comes to the opportunities following university, I think men have a lot more than women.
To be honest, I was educated in Scotland. Michelle's English, I'm Scottish. I was educated in Scotland, and I always thought that it was pretty much the same. Maybe what Michelle says after is probably a bit different, but growing up I think it's the same.
It's when you leave, isn't it, that it's harder for a woman.
Women advance more than men in school. I think it's maturity. Women mature faster than men. I think they advance more.
At the beginning, I'd say yes. There still, unfortunately, tends to be that men are higher up in the companies, but I know a lot of companies are trying to change that at the moment in Scotland, but unfortunately that is still what happens, although I do think that everyone is trying harder to change it and that we are starting to have the same opportunities.
I suppose it depends what kind of job they're looking for. I think there are still some fields which are very much male dominated. So if they're involved more kind of physical work, I suppose men might have a bit of bias and maybe more likely to be hired. But otherwise I think that generally the opportunities for jobs are the same, but it's maybe the pay and the treatment within those jobs where there is still a divide between men and women.
And do you agree if it was a woman?
Yeah, I had a woman boss.
And it was okay?
Yeah, but because it was such a male-dominated environment, she felt the need to be
Quite harsh.
very harsh, more harder than males, she maybe thought it was to gain respect, but I don't know what. She was just a lot harder.
Mine is a man, so yeah, he's really fair though. He's only just come into the role, and prior to that it was a woman, so it's quite equal really.
No.
And why?
Because they're treated as mine lower class, if you like. The odd women get more than men for doing their job, but the majority they get less for some reason. So, especially like your shop workers, things like that, they get less.
Yeah, in my organisation, yeah, I think so. There was a report issued recently and they have a big drive. So in equal roles, yes, but there's still a bit of a gap between women and senior management. So there's a big drive at the moment to push that and to get more women in senior roles in the organisation, which is a really positive thing. So
My industry is more male dominated than female dominated.
Yeah. So he's an engineer, so it's construction. So it's quite a big difference still.
Certainly it came out at the BBC. It's a TV production company, and there were presenters on the same show, and the like male part had like way higher salary than the female for the same thing. Just going back to the last question, I know certainly like for say STEM, so science fields, there's like a real drive to get women in. So in fact it's almost easier for women to get into those fields at the moment, just because they're like, we need women, we'll take anybody almost.
Probably yes, and I would say technical and carpentry, science, well, maybe not science, but you know, the more manual skills boys tend to be better at.
Girls in medical schools, there's like 60% is female, but I don't really know about any others.
I'd say like sort of like civil servants, army officers, army soldiers, finance sectors are all dominated by men. Generally.
Yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
I think the media puts a lot more pressure on women.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like with magazines and like now Instagram's a big thing, like Instagram like models or whatever. I think it's a big pressure for girls now.
So that's something I would have always said, like definitely yes. But I think maybe men feel just as much pressure, but it's just not as talked about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think also there's much more of kind of a gym culture coming out at the moment, and I feel like men have a lot of pressure to be very kind of physically fit, very muscly, but yeah, it's not really talked about, and I suppose because that is all associated with being very masculine, that makes them feel even more like they can't share any concerns or worries they have about that. So I think it has been happening with men just as much as women, but just there's been less attention to it.
Women definitely, yeah. Because men, it's almost like a compliment. Yeah. You know, but women, it's like you're a slut or something. It's literally the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's viewed better in one sex than the other. So.
I think there is pressure on women to wear makeup for certain things, certain jobs. But I don't agree with it, but there are pressures. And women tend to go in packs, so if three's wearing makeup and one's not, what does the one not wearing makeup do? You know, she starts wearing makeup. You know, it's human nature.
I don't know. I don't think I do, to be honest. Like, obviously not wearing any makeup now, but I don't know. I think I would do it for my own, like, myself, not for other people. But I think there is like a pressure from society of like seeing all these pictures of beautiful women. They're obviously like edited and things, but they've got a lot of makeup on. I think that does make young girls. Like when I was younger, I remember thinking, oh, I have to start wearing makeup because other people are wearing makeup and it's what we need to do. Not necessarily for myself, but now I think it's quite different. I'm older and kind of experienced, but not the other people.
Probably, yeah.
I think partly. I think it's become the norm now to wear makeup.
Yeah,
so.
it's because whenever to be honest, if this does happen, if some people see someone without makeup, they're like, oh, I saw her without makeup on. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think women get judged. So there's this, oh, she looks good with makeup, but without it, do you know what I mean? There is a big stigma around it still, and like I wouldn't feel comfortable with like a lot of people see me with no makeup on.
Probably, yeah.
Probably still, yeah. I think it's better, like, amongst our age now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you wouldn't talk about it to, like, older people, maybe.
So, like,
old
people
men.
our age.
People our age is kind of fine now. Like, at school, maybe, when we were younger, like, the younger ages in school, maybe, like, 12, 13, it would be a bit quite an awkward thing to talk about with, like, other boys, and you would get teased and things by other boys in school, but growing up, like, when we're older now, it's not really a thing.
Not that I'm aware of, really. Like, you don't tend to talk about it that much, but it happens. So
I haven't found that particularly. No, not at all.
Yeah, I'd say I think there's quite a lot of awareness at the moment. There's a lot like about recycling, like recyclable products for menstruation, and the fact that like there should be equal kind of access, no matter if you're poor, like you shouldn't have to pay for it. There's like in the university especially, there's like campaigns to get free menstruation pads in like toilets and stuff for women. Although there was a big like thing about when they started taxing, they were going to tax as a luxury item. So yeah, there's quite a lot of awareness about it. I wouldn't say there's a taboo like about talking about it.
I think it's very like use condoms as opposed to like I think there could be better education than what it is.
But like the long acting.
I think you know that you should use it, but not necessarily what all the options are until you're a bit older. So maybe that'd be more important for younger people in school.
Yes, definitely. Two of my flatmates are very big advocates on all sorts of contraceptions, so they always go on about it. They do quite a bit at school. Like, they definitely could do more, but I feel that's something like at our age you do like internet research, you kind of educate yourself, you know what's best for you as well, because obviously the school can't just sit you down individually and be like, oh, what do you need, kind of thing. Just a very general overview.
Yeah.
I don't think we were in my school.
I was. I don't know if you were.
No.
I mean, we had a few sessions on it. Like every year we'd have a couple of sessions on it.
We weren't really, to be honest. It was quite bad at my school, which wasn't great. We were kind of only told about like how to use condoms. It wasn't like how you should go about accessing them or like other forms of contraception, which by the end of school, like a lot of girls were using things like the pill and the combined pill and contraception or whatever. But we were never ever told about it in school. It was only like, this is how you put on a condom, and that was about it. So
But I still think there's a lot of emphasis on it's a woman's responsibility a lot of the time. No, it is. Generally, if a woman gets pregnant, it's seen as her fault. It's not seen as the guy's fault. So
I think it is taught very thoroughly and effectively now. But again, maybe it is. I don't know whether you found this at school, but it's definitely 100% aimed at relationships between men and women as opposed to between same-sex relationships. There was no education on that, and there is probably more focus on like condoms, which are effectively male contraception, rather than the kind of other female contraceptive alternatives.
I wouldn't think so, no.
Why?
Well, because a lot of people get drunk, and I've seen people get very violent, not against women in particular, but against me, for example, and I feel threatened, so I can imagine a woman will also feel threatened.
Don't think so, no.
The thing is, I personally wouldn't call it harassment because it's something that you deal with every day, but then it technically is. It's like when people are wolf whistling at you as they drive past, making comments, and then when you think about it, it is harassment, but sometimes you've just got to have a thick skin and move on.
Well, I have, people like whistling and shouting things at you, But I actually have noticed that it's more in other countries, like abroad, than here, I think, Like,
in which country?
So I've noticed specifically when I was in Turkey, I do like a lot of running on holiday and things. I was running with my dad, and like they would like always shout at me, and that never happens here. Like obviously I had to run out in shorts and like a crop top thing for running in, and they would just like shout horrible things at me, and that would.
I actually think on a night out when there's alcohol, women can be a lot worse than men, like in terms of grabbing guys and like joking. But guess it, from my experience though, I've not really seen it that much, but I'm quite a strong person, so if it ever happened, I'd tell him. So.
What is Scotland?
I get it quite a lot. I live in Cowgate, which is quite a rough area, so if you're walking along by yourself, you quite often get just like comments or shouts at you, particularly if you're on your own or if it's late at night. But generally during the day it's not too bad, but it's particularly at night if you kind of look vulnerable, if you're on your own or if you're just with girls, then yeah, definitely you get targeted by groups of men. Yeah.
It really is just about educating people that that's not an appropriate way to behave, but what can you do? That's how it's been ingrained in someone, that to show you like someone, you wolf whistle at them, but it's not exactly pleasant to be wolf whistled at. So
I think it's a cultural thing. I mean, as long as it is appropriate to get drunk in public, and as long as it's encouraged, it's going to continue to happen, because I've been to other countries like Switzerland or Germany or Austria, where people don't get so drunk and they're not as violent because of that. It's just not accepted to behave in certain ways, whereas here in Britain, especially in London, it's even worse. It's just widely accepted to behave in those ways. So I don't think you can change the fact that most men are more physically able than women in terms of just purely genetically. You can't really change that, but you can change their behavior, I guess.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I suppose there just needs to be a shift in society to get women the same treatment in things like their salary and work, and therefore hopefully that will just have a knock-on effect socially in terms of how women are treated by men.
Well, my experience in Britain and in Scotland is in university. I've worked in England, but I haven't worked here, so in my experience in university is that people have equal opportunity. There is many less women in my course than men. I'm studying artificial intelligence, so there is a lot of talk particularly about computer science and this kind of stuff. I haven't seen anybody discriminate against women or say anything derogatory in front of me. But it's a fact that there are less, it's 8 to 20, so there's a huge disparity. So it depends what you mean by equality. I don't think there is an inequality of opportunity in my experience for my degree, for example. Okay. But there isn't equality of outcome as of now. There isn't a parity. I can't say I've seen amongst my people on my age any discrimination either in the workplace, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it.
I would actually say that we're one of the better countries. Like, there is still inequality, unfortunately. Like, my mum's faced that at her job, but I think it has been improving, and it just does depend on the kind of circles in society you move in.
I think Scotland is probably more equal than England.
I would say we're quite open-minded.
Yeah, I think the Scottish are generally more open-minded.
There isn't a big inequality between men and women in Scotland?
No, not I wouldn't say. Certainly not in Edinburgh.
Yeah, not in Edinburgh.
Bon, on espère que la vidéo vous a plu et à bientôt pour la Suède.